Hello and welcome. Today I'm gonna talk about the triangle of photography, not cinematography, photography. So it contains three elements. The three elements are the ISO, which is the sensitivity of the sensor, and aperture, and shutter speed. These are the three elements of photography. Whenever you change one element, you control the photographic appearance of the image or the photo. So what do I mean by ISO? It is the sensitivity of the sensor. Whenever you increase the ISO more than the usual, you will get grainy images. When you decrease the image sensitivity of the sensor, you will get the image as smooth as possible, like ISO 100, but it will take a long time, so it will affect the shutter speed. The other thing is the aperture. Whenever you have a large aperture, you will get faster image and greater depth of field. These are explained in Understanding Exposure by Brian Peterson. He explained the triangle of exposure. So these are the elements, the most important elements, and that's not only in photography but in cinematography. But instead of shutter speed, there is shutter angle, which is a bit different than shutter speed. The shutter speed is the time taken for the sensor to acquire the image. So whenever you want to freeze the motion of waterfall, or you want it to be like cotton smooth, white only, you will capture the motion, you increase the shutter speed, so you'll get the grainy, nitty-gritty details of each drop when you increase the shutter speed. When you decrease the shutter speed, you will take longer time for the image to be acquired, and then you will capture the motion itself. So this is the shutter speed. The ISO, we talked about it, and the aperture, we talked about it. Whenever you want to isolate the subject, you acquire the image with a shutter speed which is very low. So you want to isolate the subject, and you get the aperture at the lowest possible number. So if it was 2, it's better than 4, 4 is better than 6, and 6 is better than 10. So if you want to isolate the subject from the background, whenever you're using a telephoto camera, so a telephoto camera is like a telephoto lens is like this one. So this is the telephoto lens, and whenever you want to isolate the subject in wildlife, or you want to isolate a far-sighted subject, you use the telephoto lens and high ISO speed, wider aperture, and so high ISO sensitivity, wider aperture, and lowest or fastest shutter speed as possible to capture the motion. The latest thing that we want to talk about is the macro photography, like this lens. So this lens has 90 millimeter, and it shows you the fine details of from here, fine details of captured very close subjects. So when you want to capture a very close subject, you use a macro lens, and then you control the aperture, the shutter speed, and the ISO to get the maximum image quality as possible, or the maximum or the best exposure as possible. So exposure is a concept, but it's this concept of diluting the menus into these three components. This is what I calling minimalism. So you need to dilute a subject in its finest or in its most essential components. And this is a philosophy that you can use in different situations. So you dilute the complex issue with understanding of the underlying concepts, and select the factors that you can manage or you can alter, and then start to apply these concepts in your real life. I hope you understood the subject and the underlying concepts, and see you next weekend.